Good morning, everyone. It's day 7 of 12 Days of Digis 2020, a collaboration between Cara Brandon and Dear Julie Julie. And today, the digital images that we are working with is this lovely blue from Cara Brandon, and this one also with lots of blue from Dear Julie Julie. So as always, I've gone ahead and cut stuff down. I apologize for my messy paper. As you can tell, I've had some of my Salty Ocean Distress ink out. And I may be jumping around a bit because I want to do something and let it kind of dry for a minute. I'm going to be using this card. It's 5 inches wide by just under 7 inches high, because I need, even though I haven't made my journal yet, I need a place to put some of my stuff down for this one. So, the first thing I've got is this blue paper, and I used my Martha Stewart lace punch on both edges, and I am going to attach this to it, this Dear Julie Julie image to it, and that will become a belly band. And I know I'm putting glue in some places that I don't really need it. Sorry, I keep trying to pull it closer to me. Don't really need glue, but that's okay. So let's see if we can get that somewhat lined up. Oh, I didn't get that very straight, but that's okay. And then I'm going to give the glue a second to dry, but then I will be putting that down just as a belly band. So very simple belly band right there. So, but I want to be sure that the glue that I had that's coming through those lace edges is dry. Then I've got this postcard from Cara Brandon and this Santa Claus that I punched out from one of the Dear Julie Julie images. And I'm just going to put Santa right on the postcard. I'm not going to lie, I'm not real good at mixing colors. So, you know, when I have the reds and greens for Christmas is fine. The blues for Christmas is fine. When I start mixing the red, green, and blue, it takes me a minute. And it's been a challenge for me to allow that to occur. I like the way it looks when it's down, but it's not something I automatically go to. All right, so I want some glue right on that little edge there. I'm actually going to pull that glue in a little bit just to be sure I'm getting enough on that open lace edge at the end. Because I don't want my belly band to come up. Okay. Notice I start with the simple things first. Feeling much better today. Okay, and then this little card will just slide right into that belly band. No muss, no fuss. Okay. Now, let's move to probably the next simplest thing is this Cara Brandon pocket. And I've already folded it. I didn't do a very good job folding, but I think it'll be okay once I get it down on the page. So I'm just gonna put a little glue right on these edges to hold those just until I get it down on the page. Okay. Now what I'm doing here, I took some of my lace and you can see here, I ran my Salty Ocean. Salty Ocean was the only blue, the closest blue I could find to these blue flowers. So I just colored my lace, and I'm going to put it, I really love this gold trim that Cara has here, but I'm going to be using the blue lace in some other places. So I need to bring it in here. And right here, I'm just using my art glitter glue. This lace is so light. And by light, I mean lightweight, that the art glitter glue will hold it just fine, and I don't want to, it'll dry more clear without the shiny effect that the Fabri-Tac will have. All right, and then this little thing is just a postmark off of one of the Cara Brandon postcards, and I'd cut part of the postcard off to use elsewhere. So I thought, in my effort to use everything, or just about everything, I could just add that here somehow. Along with this label. I'm really not wanting to cover up a whole lot of this image, so I think that's what we're going to do. It's funny because I kind of plan all this stuff out, but then I have to retry it and relook at it before I actually commit to gluing it down. So that can go there. And then we'll just put that little label right on top of it. Okay, I want to hold this for just a second. Be sure everything's grabbing. Since I did use my art glitter glue instead of my Fabri-Tac, which like I said, it will, but sometimes it needs a little encouragement to start with. Okay. Now let me cut off this excess lace. And we will put, one of my panels isn't going to have anything on it yet. But that's okay. So I think we will just put this down right there. Now I want to try to get my back flaps pretty well glue covered so that I don't run into problems with the pocket contents catching on stuff. Okay, so let's go ahead. Put that pocket right there. So I didn't change the pocket much, just added a little extra to it, and I wanted to be sure that I got in some of that blue lace because it appears in a few other places. Okay, and while that's drying, let's work on the tags to go in the pocket. So Cara Brandon had 2 tags. She had this one that was larger, and then she had this smaller one. So what I've done is I backed them all. I sewed completely around the edges of this one. This one, I sewed around the edges, but I gave it a little zigzag in a couple of places. And then on top of it, this is where I used part of the postcard that came from here, or that this came from. I actually cut it down and made it into a little pocket. And I'm just going to do, I'm still really trying to, I'm really enjoying the layered tags, and I really want to try to get better at doing them. And so I just keep going with it. So I think this one, you know what, I just had a thought. Give me a second while I try to find nope, this one. I'm going to go ahead, I didn't think about it ahead of time, but I'm going to go ahead and punch a hole in that one, and I'm just going to cover it with one of my hole reinforcers. Like that. Okay. Now back on track. Now I'm just going to glue this, and I did all the sewing ahead of time, that way I wouldn't have to pause and go sew. And so now I'm just going to glue this down, and I'm trying to get glue on my threads. Get around that hole pretty well. Okay. And I am trying to leave room at the top because that top tag will have a topper on it. Okay. So give that a second. Now let's go ahead and punch that one. Actually, I'm going to have to switch my crocodile around. So, got this little Santa, and he's going to need a little eyelet. So before I turn my crocodile around, I want to go ahead and put his eyelet in. Okay, so now that little Santa has his eyelet. Turn my crocodile around. And we're back in business. Okay. Now, crimp that down, move these out of the way, and got this little teeny tiny piece that was in Cara Brandon's, and I just backed it with some of the same paper that I'd used for the belly band, and it can just slide right in there. So we've got a layered tag with a pocket, so there's a lot going on here. And now I've got some more of my, what did I say it was? Broken china. I don't know what did I call my distress ink broken china before, or did I call it salty ocean? It's broken china. I tried them both, but I decided to go with the broken china. But I may have had salty ocean on the brain. Probably because it's cold enough now that I'm wishing I was at the ocean. The Florida coast. Okay. So we're just going to give that a little blue tag topper. And trim those off a bit. And just because I wanted to, and to bring in a little more red of the red Santa here and the red price tag there, I thought I would take that Santa and just have him dangle from the tag topper. Just like that. So there's a lot going on there with that little tag. but it makes it kind of fun. Okay. And then that can all go right in there. Okay, so now I've got, I believe, just one more thing. We had this library card pocket from Dear Julie Julie, and what I did, if you cut this out and then fold it, the tab up here is going to be white. So what I did was I cut it here so that I could just slide it in and then glue the pocket back together. So that's how I got everything facing. You can see I've got a white background, but that's how I've got everything facing the way I want it. Okay, so for this one, I'm again going to put some blue lace down. And this is actually the first one that I kind of played with, and you might notice by the blue lace going where it is, at that moment, I was avoiding the green and red of the holly. All right. But I ended up liking the way it looked, so still going with it. All right. So while that's drying for a moment, I also I've got all sorts of these little white, they're actually kind of a cream colored flower. And I took some of my broken china to them. And I'm actually going to use my hot glue gun. Which is a rarity for me anymore. So put that right on that corner. Hot glue string. All right. And now I want to use one of these Cara Brandon stamps. Basically, I'm just going to layer things up to go with Santa. Don't want to cover up the bag of toys. Or whatever. And we'll put a Cara Brandon label. And last but not least, I've got one more little blue flower to put on here. And the centers of my flowers are just I have some multicolored flat back pearls. And I glued those on ahead of time because that would have been hilarious if you trying to watch me hold the teeny tiny little flat back pearls and gluing them into the center of those flowers. So I thought that was better done ahead of time. Okay. So again, just Trim my lace off. And now, even though the blue flowers aren't the same, we've got some of the blue flower drawn into it. And a nice little journal card there with the blue flower. And that can come live right over here. I was just using this glue. Must be time for me to clean out my metal tip. So I'd love to know if you're playing along, and if you are, with the 12 Days of Digis, and if you are, if you're having a good time with it. I think this is a lot of fun. It's requiring some thought, because the whole idea is to basically meld the kits together, but the styles are so different that it takes a little bit of thought figuring out how to do that. But it's been so much fun, and I've actually been pretty pleased with just about everything. That it's amazing how, even though they're so different, they can work well together. Okay, so there is day number 7. Until next time, everyone, please be safe, stay healthy, happy crafting, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.